CherieHanson here. Well, today I have continued on my adventure to walk 10,000 steps, and what I'm noticing is the resistance is melting. You know, it used to be I couldn't get out the door until about 3, because there's so many things I need to do first. Blah, blah, blah. But the walking itself has become such a satisfying and enjoyable thing for me to set out on that I was out the door at 10 walking downtown, going to take care of errands. The first one was I needed to renew my Airbnb license, and feels really good. I feel really good when I take care of something before a deadline. It's really like going into a village and taking their flag. I mean, it's total conquering of something that is, could be difficult or that my mind doesn't want to do. So I got my Airbnb license paid for, and as I was going in the door and I touched the latch to open the door, I thought to myself, this used to be less than $70 and it's $160 now. And I'm really good at catching. Have you ever watched somebody who can catch a fly in the air? They just, there's the fly there and they snatch. I can catch a negative thought so quickly. And I stood there holding the door latch and I thought, I'm so grateful that I can pay for this license and that I can operate my Airbnb. And one of the reasons for it is because it has led me to feel safer, feel more supported, feel more at home in the world, because the people who come and stay with me always have something to teach me. They always bring gifts. They always show me a widening of my submarine portal, up, telescope, up, telescope, you're just looking at the world like that. And then people come in and the main thing that happens, and I think it's just so wonderful, is most of the people who come in are running on heart energy. Now, let me explain that a little bit. There are some people that are in the world, moving through the world with a very clear understanding of who they are and why they're here. They are working with disadvantaged youth, or they are working with immigrants, or they are trying to find solutions for warming of the oceans. And this is something that I see over and over again. If I was just holed up in my bungalow here, I would be more tempted to believe the trash talk of the media. Other people are selfish and they're horrible and you have to be afraid of them. But these people come in and stay with me and they're just so beautiful. They're living like they hear this music. And the music is the music of kindness and compassion and service. And so many other people don't hear that music. But I know it's there because they're coming in and I'm going, oh my God, look at you. Look what you're doing for people in the world. And so I paid my license fee with gratitude. And then I went out and I went to Mosaic bookstore, a local bookstore, and a very, very sweet friend gave me a gift card. So I was looking around for something I could buy for my son's family from Mosaic with my gift card. And I overheard a conversation. Do you know, you heard of a cat burglar, right? Cat burglar is somebody who goes into a house at night wearing all black and is undetected. I think of myself as a cat burglar for eavesdropping. I am drawn to conversations that people are having that just make me feel better about the world. And there were two women in there looking at calendars, and one was talking about how she was moving to Europe because she liked the culture there better. There was, more of an understanding of ideas and the history of culture, and there was more creativity and appreciation for history. And I'm just going, yeah. So I went over and I said, sorry, I just listening to what you're saying, and I have to say I was in Europe in April and May, and it was a wonderful experience for me because I met so many people that were well-read, educated, kind-hearted. And the other thing that I found was really interesting is they welcomed a conversation with a stranger. There wasn't the sense of isolation, which I carry. It's mine. Let me just say, this is mine. I'm not blaming anybody else. But we ended up talking. We talked about our lives. We talked about our choices. We talked about what the last year has meant to us. There was no sense of separation between the three of us. And we're all standing in this one aisle, just sharing our values and our growth and things that we've learned. And I asked them to my house, and they were so excited. They said, yes, we'll come right away. And one of the women there said, I have a traveling teapot that I take with me because I travel so much. I'll bring my traveling teapot to your house. And I said, oh, that's great. And we ended up, I just don't know how to explain this. I was hugged by both of these women. Good hugs, long hugs, loving hugs. And we stood there, and the other two women said, we're so glad we found you. We're so excited to come to your house and find out more about you. And I invited them to my Chinese New Year's open house. And they said, oh, yes, for sure we'll come. But we want to get together sooner than that. And I just left the bookstore with my purchase, and I thought, oh my God, it is so magical in my life now. I was sitting meditation, I guess the last 2 days, 2 or 3 days, asking my guides and my angels to bring toward me more people who were on the same vibration I was, who are open, authentic, positive, who are going through storms, but they've got their bow faced right into the waves, and they're just understanding that every single tribulation is a lesson. And I just came out of the store, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, is that how easy it is? All I had to do was ask the universe for this thing that I've been yearning for, this being met by spirits that see me, that understand me, that don't think I'm so weird. They don't know what to do with me. And so I left the store and I'm walking down the street. I've got so much happiness to spread now because I've been just showered with love and appreciation. So when you get like that, you're kind of sparkling. And I went to the bank and there was a woman there with her son and she's dancing to the soundtrack. And I said to her, "Oh, good for you. You're just embarrassing the hell out of your son, aren't you?" He went over to sit down because he didn't want to be with her. She said, "Yes, it's good for him." And I'm just going, are these magic people everywhere? And it was just me that didn't see them before. And then the woman behind the counter, who was from Japan, showed me how to do some things that I didn't know how to do on my account. And we had a conversation about value and money and affordability and satisfaction of life. And she told me that when she first came to Kelowna, it was cheaper to live than it was in Japan. She goes back home and visits her relatives, and she said, now it's cheaper to live in Japan than it is in Kelowna. And of course, because I was a literature student, so I'm always looking at the text and translating it into themes and messages. This is what we did. We did the exposition of texts when we were reading, and I'm doing the same thing with my life. What is this saying to you? And I thought, I've always wanted to go to Japan, and I think it's too expensive, so maybe I should reconsider that. So I'm walking down the street, and I see a young man who's got orange shoelaces on one shoe and green shoelaces in the other shoe. I said, "Oh, I like your laces." And he looks at me and he shows me his feet and he says, "Yeah, they're fun." And I said, "Yeah, they sure are." Then I went to the drugstore to pick up a few things. And the woman in the drugstore had to tell a woman who was in the store that she wasn't allowed to bring her dog in any longer because the corporate head does not allow dogs in the store. And she's trying to explain in a very kind way, it's not your dog, it's not you, it's just something that I have to do because there are new rules. And I said, I'm just right there. I'm just right up front. I go, "Oh yeah, the puppet masters, they make more and more money and they're just getting so that they are trying to squeeze the life out of the peasants." And she goes, "I've been starting to think that." And then she leans over and she says to me, "The whole Christmas thing, I'm just beginning to see it with different eyes. It's not about making things or giving love or anything. It's all just making money for corporate heads." And I said, "Yeah." So then she went away, and the two women who were behind the counter, I said, "You're very lucky. The woman that you work for is very, very kind." And they said, Oh, yes, she is. We know we are very lucky." So it's kind of like, if you think about a train, that has coal in the furnace, as I'm going along on this adventure today, this odyssey, this sense of adventure, of exploring, of finding something I don't even know I'm looking for, I realized that I'm getting more and more coal in my engine. I'm burning warmer. I'm getting more energy as I go along. And then I stopped when I saw two young people who had the most magnificent handmade purse carry-on things. And I just said, oh my God, I love that. Did you make them? And they said, yes, we did. And they told me their stories. They told me how the young man had moved here because Spirit had told him he would be a better version of himself in Kelowna. And he said, and I don't argue with Spirit when it talks to me. And the woman works with young people who are addicted and who are living on the streets. My God, I thought. I said, look at you two. You're just beautiful. And I says, I want one of your purses if you can. I gave them my card and I asked them and the two women in the bookstore to come to my house for my Chinese New Year's. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm sitting there in my tower, my Victorian tower, like an old maid, like a spinster peering out the window. And I'm in this state for so long where I'm just protecting myself from other people because of the leftover feeling of being so strange. Everybody else is interested in drinking and, and achieving and building money and all of this. And I've always been strange. I was like, I must come from another planet or something because my values do not align with the values that I'm living in, the society I'm living within. And then as I'm standing on the sidewalk, I think to myself, I wasn't asking for my people with my values and my depth of spiritual commitment to growth to show up previously. So if you don't fucking order it, it doesn't come. I'm starting to get this. So to continue on, now I'm like a 5-year-old who's skipping on the sidewalk. Not really skipping, because I don't dare go that far. But as I head home, I see a young man, and I do have a very clear read of people's energy. It's a gift I've had all my life. If I scan someone, I can see so much about them. I can see how clean their energy is, how authentic they are, how much of a glow they've got to them, how they have a purpose, how they're here for a reason. I see it. And so this young man is walking along, and I just said to him some introductory weird phrase, which he responded to very, very kindly, and just snapped his head around, took his ear pods out, and whatever it is I said was just perfect. And then I said, well, what are you doing in Kelowna? He said, I'm a student. I'm a student of religion and cultural history. Oh my God. It's what I'm obsessed with. I said, have you read The Silk Road? It's a really great book about how Christianity was in the East far sooner than it hit the West. And he said, oh yes, my professor at UBC is teaching us that right now. And he said, oh, and he's writing the book down, putting it in his phone. And I'm just going, wow. And then I walk into the Yellow Street Market, and the guy that's there, I guess he's the manager or something, he turns around and he just smiles at me. You know how some people smile at you and it's not at you, it's in you? Just stop, and there's eye contact, and they get really quiet, and they're just taking you in, and they like what they're seeing. And we're we're both just standing there smiling at one another, like going, oh my God, there it is again. There it is. And he stops and comes around and talks to me as the clerk is ringing in my purchase. And we're mostly just smiling at one another. There's no trivia. There's no small talk. There's just this hello. There you are. You're a happy person. Can I warm up at your fire? And then I started walking down the street, and there was a street person there, and they looked up at me and said, "Hiya, kiddo." I was like, what? Kiddo? And so I came home to my welcoming cat. And I thought about how sometimes you sit for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it feels like nothing is happening. But now, as of the 21st of December, we're into new energy. We're into the kind of energy that's asking us to stop pretending, stop wearing a mask, stop checking around you to see who you can sidle up to and adopt their behaviors and their mannerisms and their way of moving through the world so that you can not die, which is the bottom line. I don't want to die if I don't fit in. They're going to, send me to the forest to starve or leave me on an ice floe for the polar bear. And I'm just thinking to myself, how much easier this is to live in the world this way. First of all, to accept myself. First of all, to feel at home with myself. And next of all, to trust when I see someone who has a light around them, who has this beautiful openness, and to not be afraid to stop and share an exchange of energy with them. It's amazing. I just came home all buzzed, and I had to have a nap because we don't want too much of that. It's really intense. So the message that I have today is that so often we say to ourselves, I said this to a friend of mine who was dating, if they had a online dating site that said horrible baby men, it's like, oh, she's trying out all the horrible baby men. And I said to her, well, the guy that's meant for you can't show up because your entire dock, all the surfaces on all three sides of your dock have these other men tied up to them, and there's no space for someone with a higher vibe, with a more authentic way of being in the world to come to you. So this is something that I want to say to reassure people. There is a period of loss. There is a period of not being satisfied. There is the period of Christ wandering in the desert and asking, where is the way? What am I supposed to do? We all have to go through that because we need to clear the old story so that something new can come in. And I had so many beautiful experiences today with just being present. It was lovely. So that's my story for today. Gather around, you young ones. This is my adventure. Thank you so much for subscribing. Do subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Please leave a thumbs up or put a comment, and all the comments that people are putting up on my videos are so beautiful, and they're so encouraging, and they're so sweet. And I have to say, as I always do, I appreciate you.